Hello and welcome to Crafty Concepts with Erin. For today's project, I'm going to begin using the texture paste, and I have this set of palette knives and trowels. I've cut this stencil from the Scrapbooking Cricut cartridge, and using my all-purpose non-stick mat, I'm just going to apply some ink to the surface of the mat, and then using my trowel I will mix in some of the white opaque texture paste and just mix it around into the ink until I get the desired color I'm after. Every time you add more ink, you're just going to get a darker shade. The re-inkers work well for this, but I'm out of my black, so this works just as well for now. Washi tape works very well to secure your stencil into place, and it's easy to remove. So using the back of my palette knife, I'm just going to generously apply the texture paste and spread it over the stencil. It doesn't have to be perfect. I actually want this to look like an old brick wall that's almost on the verge of falling apart, a little bit distressed. So we can always scrape off the excess, but it can be irregular on the edges, and I think that will look nice. So even though this is a non-stick mat, I recommend wiping it up with a moistened paper towel or a baby wipe right away. So after we remove this stencil, you can see I have just a really neat embellishment on the corner of my paper there. So I'll transfer my project over to the Versamat. And I have this photo I want to scrapbook of my husband and his 3 sisters. I have the Feels Like Home paper pack that I'm sorting through just to pull out some pieces of cardstock and patterned papers that I'd like to use on this layout. I've already created a layout with this kit, and that's why these pieces are already cut. They are left over from my previous project. So as you can see in the photo, my family is standing in front of an old brick building, and that's where I got the inspiration to do the texture paste little brick element up in the upper right hand corner. So I'm just kind of experimenting. I have these Picture My Life cards that I'm sorting through to see if there's anything I'd like to incorporate into the layout. They work really well for quick and easy embellishments or different sentiments. Sometimes they have titles or cards that can be used as a title or journaling blocks. So I decided to scoot in these main pieces so I have a white border all the way around, and I think that looks nice, so I'm going to go ahead and get those adhered into place. I really like this paper pack. It just seems old-fashioned to me, and it reminds me of a farmhouse color palette, which I really like. So I'm using my sponge dauber to quickly go around the edges of the photo with the black ink just to help kind of make that stand out. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing to this sugar plum patterned Picture My Life card. And it's kind of funny, I was thinking I used to always evenly mat my photos on a photo mat, but sometimes it's nice to just kind of offset them to the side like I'm doing here, and it gives them that it helps give the layout that nice layered look that so many of us are after. I have these chipboard pieces and embellishments that come with the package, so I like the clock piece here, and I've cut the word family from the Scrapbooking Cricut cartridge, so I already had that cut out that I ended up not using on another project, so I will incorporate that into this layout. This butterfly I fussy cut from one of the Picture My Life cards, And I'm just sort of experimenting with some of the different pieces. I have stickers and chipboard embellishments as well. This little sentiment says a moment in time, and I thought that was perfect to coordinate since I'm going to use the clock piece on the layout there. I've cut this little piece from the Cricut cartridge, and it just kind of reminded me of a doily. So using my sugar plum shimmer brush, I'm going to just go over it and add color. And it's difficult to see in the video, but these just leave a really pretty shimmery kind of pearlescent iridescent finish to them. I realize again that it's probably difficult to appreciate that, but you'll just have to trust me that it does look very nice and adds a nice finishing touch. I have the blue butterfly in the lower left hand corner, so I want to incorporate more of these flowers and embellishment with the blue color to help kind of draw that around the layout. You have some decorative photo corners, so we'll just use one of those. This photo was actually taken at my husband's grandpa's funeral, which of course was a very sad day, but it's always touching to see family get together and just draw strength from each other in troubling times. And it can be a happy memory when everybody's getting together and just kind of laughing and reminiscing about memories that they may have shared growing up about their grandfather. So it was just a moment in time that I thought was so special to see them all pull together. As you can see, I'm kind of debating on how I want to position this butterfly. I don't like to put them straight on the page. If you kind of put them at an angle, they look like they're sort of fluttering across the layout. And then I've decided to cut this little doily piece in half because only the top half is peeking out anyway. So now we can incorporate the other half somewhere else on the layout or possibly another project. I'm debating if I want to add the sprigs of greenery in the green color or just leave them in the black and white color that's already tucked in behind there. I'm going over this title with my craft glue so I can go ahead and get that adhered into place. And if you notice, I have everything kind of nestled and overlapping, and that just helps it to look like it belongs. I've decided to add a little color in this upper left hand corner, so I'm just using this striped pattern paper, and then I will dovetail the edges, and then you have like a little banner just to add a little color. So we'll do the same thing with this sugar plum patterned paper, and I always like my banners to be different in length and width, just because I think it looks a little bit more interesting than if they were the same size. So we've found another place for the other half of this little doily, and then I'll just incorporate some of the words from the zip strip and then the little heart sticker there. The brick building in the background is actually a historic schoolhouse in Columbia State Park. It was originally built in 1860, and I think it's just so neat that it's still standing today. I've never actually been inside the school, just looked in the windows, but I know they do guided tours for some of the schools on field trips. So our layout is just about finished, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little black ink to the top of this cluster just to kind of finish that off. And here you have it, the finished layout. And I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. I will leave a link to this paper pack in the description. And if you like this video, be sure to click like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.